Alright guys, I'm back with part 3. The difference between last video and this video is I readjusted my gun so it's actually nice and centered in the middle. As you can see, I did that with the dot. I also did it with the mouse pointer. And something from the last video that didn't translate to this video is in your starter GUI, make sure that you have the crosshair on ignore GUI inset on. Otherwise, it's going to be lower and it's not going to be in the exact middle. And another thing that I have that's changed is that mouse that you saw earlier where it was a white dot. To get that, you need to go into your starter player script and you need to get the mouse. Local mouse is equal player get mouse, and change your mouse icon to that if you want the white dot. It's not required, but it's helpful to get the ADS correct. And other than that, nothing else has changed. So continuing straight on from the last video. To get the actual bullets to register, we need to start making bullet trails and etc. So what we need to do is local function make part, let's just call it make bullet, it's what it is. And what we want in make bullet is the location, or the endpoint anyway. If you're doing it from the tip of your gun, you can also have the origin point and like make a bullet trail. But since mine's coming from the head, it won't look good, so I'm only doing the end point. If you guys do want it from the tip of the gun, I can make a whole different video on how to do that after I'm done with this series. But it's a lot more work. Anyway, after you do endpoint, then all you do is local b for bullet is equal to instance.new, not pants, part, b.size is equal to udim2, udim, vector3.new, 0.5, comma 0.5, comma 0.5, b.shape is equal to ball, b.color is equal to instance dot, no, color3 dot from RGB 255, 255, 255. You can change it to whatever color you want for yourself. Now b.parent is equal to workspace dot wait for child bullets. b.position is equal to endpoint. B. Now we're going to add it to debris so they disappear. So dot add item b 0.5. Control X here because we want the position before we actually spawn it in. That's how you do that. But we're still going to need another function. So local function empty table. So for blank comma v in pairs table do make bullet v. So I'm also going to put table type in here because I want it to work for both tables. So table type. So we're going to do control X here. We're also going to add another function for the objects later. So local function check human object. So Control X, if table type is equal to raise, then do that. Else if table type is equal to objects, then check human. V. Oh wait, I didn't put then. Okay. So now what we need to do is work on this end, because we actually do it for both, but we're going to start on this end first, because this is the one we're using. We also need to add our ammo back, since we didn't do that from last time. So after that, we need to we have everything firmed. We know we have the ammo, so what we gotta do is we gotta do slot.clip.ammo is equal to slot.clip.ammo -1. That way it subtracts the bullets. And after that, we empty table, raise with ray table. And we also empty table, objects with objects table. So after that, we're going to print object.name. And so that we can tell what's being done in each instance, we're going to add that, so that splits our console. So if we press F5, we should have a bullet that spams really fast every time we hold ADS. Or just a bunch of bugs that spam really fast. Okay. Bullet table, register, ammo. So we need to go here. Ah, I put ammo instead of value. My bad. We're also not going to be able to see it in real time if we're losing ammo until we add a interface or like a UI, which we will be doing in this tutorial. So we need to change that to value. Also, another thing that's really interesting is you don't actually have to put slot.ammo -1. We can just put 1 here. We can add a minus sign before the equal, meaning it's going to be the exact same value minus whatever is on this side, or we can do plus and make that -1. Just a neat trick in case none of you knew that. Okay, let's see if it works. Yeah, it hit. You saw all those things. We didn't anchor them or set them to not collide, so that's bad. And now we don't have any bullets, but if we count all the it hits, we should have 8 bullets total. So 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, and 1, 2, 4. Weirdly enough, though, it fired 2 bullets per thing. So base plate 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 base plates, 8 shots. The reason it fired way too many shots off wasn't because our pellets is wrong. It's because we fire so fast and run service just overlaps itself over and over that it just keeps firing the bullets non-stop, which is where our fire rate's going to come in handy for. So before we do that, we need to fix this real quick. So make it to b.canCollide is equal to false. b.anchored is equal to true. So if we do this again, I also want this to be a bit tinier. So if we do this again, it should do it as we want it. And that's it. It has a little bit of spread, but that's because it fired the bullets as soon as we started aiming, and as you can see, our crosshair isn't perfect. So it takes time to get to the center. So if we were to like make our spread X like 1 and 1, then it'd be really tight, like near perfect. Well, I made that 17, that was a mistake. Wonder how this will look though. But you can compare and contrast. As you can see, they were all really tight, almost perfect shots. But if we make it something crazy like 50 and 50, and we make the ADS like 5, it's going to take us forever to zoom in, so all the shots are going to go off, and they're going to be really spread out. Well, I guess not that spread out. Needless to say, it's way more spread out than it was before, and it takes a lot longer to scope in. This is something you'd use for like a sniper. It scopes out really fast, but I mean, you can adjust that if you want by doing the exact same equation. Me, I quite frankly like it scoping out very fast, because like what if you immediately go into run? But anyway, back to our original settings. Actually like 50. Also, the 50 is in pixels, not absolute size, so you can put like 200 and it could still be a really small crosshair. Just something to keep in mind. Continuing on, we need to start adding fire rate, which is what this is going to come in handy for. So, what we gotta do is add a little if value. Fire rate's going to be used to cancel out the firing state, but for now we're going to make it cancel out the make bullets. So if fire rate is equal to true, then is equal to false, then fire rate is equal to true. And right now we'll make our fire rate crazy high so you can see the difference. So we'll make it 3 seconds long. And to get the actual fire rate to work, what we gotta do is put if fire rate is equal to true, then start doing this. Okay. So we also need to add more time variables, 2 of them. So we're gonna add local fire time is equal to 0. That's where it's gonna start off at, and local reload time is equal to 0. That's gonna be for the reload. So the reason I have this is so that if the fire rate is equal to true, it means we shot off a bullet. Then we're going to start adding time. So fire time plus equal delta time. Delta time is the amount of frames it loaded. So if it loads 0.1 frames, then that means it's been 1 second. Me personally, I don't quite perfectly understand it. I just know that delta time is very important to telling real time in run service. And this is how you do it. So if fire rate equals true, then start adding to fire time. Okay, and then after that, if fire time is greater than or equal to gun.module and whatever our fire rate is, so fire rate, then and only then fire rate is equal to false. And then we set our fire time back to 0. And just like that, we have a fire rate with those simple lines of code. So, see, it only shot one. Shoot 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Shoot 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And that's the fire rate. But if we were to make it something really fast, like 0.1, it's going to shoot every 10th of a second. And later we're going to show you how to do it auto and semi. See? Shot really fast. It's pretty neat. Quite frankly, I wanted to be able to shoot, I guess, 3 shots near, so 0.33. Okay. Now that we have fire rate in there, we need to start adding our shoot state so that we can make the gun shoot. And we also need to add the shoot animation, which I'm going to do off camera for your sake. So, else if gun.state is equal to gun.states.shoot. Now the thing is, we're going to have to add 2 different ones and 2 different animations because there's a difference when you shoot from the hip and a difference from when you shoot while aiming down sight. Not only is the camera going to be different, but the spread is going to be different. But the animations will relatively be the same. Else if gun.state is equal to gun.states.aimShoot, then. Alright. Now that we have these, we need to start adding to them. So for this, we need to start making it if fire rate is equal to false. No. We make this fire rate is equal to true. And we're just going to cancel out it from turning into the shoot state if fire rate is still equal to false. Or it's still equal to true. My bad. That way we don't have a glitch that I got when I was first doing this where you'd get double shooting bullets. It was terrible. And quite impossible, frankly. Anyway, we need to update GUI for these as well. So now for aim shoot, it's going to be relatively everything that this has. So we're going to copy those settings and paste them in here. But for idle, it's going to be everything idle has. And we're going to copy these settings and paste it in here. Okay. Now that that's done, we need to start the animations. For the aim shoot animation, we really only need to do the aim arm one. But we do need to change the gun animation so it actually shoots. So we're going to do this. And for now, we're going to leave it like that and add the animation later to speed up the process of this. Or I'll add it off camera at some point. Okay, and now for regular shooting, we add the idle animations. Okay, all that's done, we need to start working with user input service. So let's go find it. Push Control F to use the find function, by the way. User input. It's called input began, so we're going to look for that. Here we are. Very tiny. So if that, else if input.user input type is equal to enum.user input type mouse button 1, then keybind.mouse.mb1 is equal to true. Else if input dot user input type is equal to enum dot user input type dot mouse button 2, then keybind dot mouse dot mb1 equal to true. Make that 1. Okay, now that the mouse button 1 is changing, we need to go back to update. And we're going to do this after the aim so that we know if we're aiming or not. And we're going to do if keybind dot mouse dot mb1 is equal to true and fire rate is equal to false, then that means we have the ability to fire because we're not on a fire rate cooldown and we're holding down the mouse button. So if gun dot module, and this is where the auto comes in. So if we have it set to false like I do, dot auto is equal to false, then keybind dot mouse dot mb1 is equal to false. And what this does is it sets it to false without me actually letting go of the button. So anytime that it starts shooting, if I have it on auto, then it's not going to set it to false until I let go. But if it's on semi, it's going to automatically turn it to false, and I can't actually shoot again until I let go of the button and press down again. Now that we have the auto thing set, what we're going to do is if gun.state. Here, let me go back a bit. Add some organization. If gun.state is equal to gun.states dot aiming, then gun.state is equal to gun.states dot aim shoot. Else, if you're not aiming and you're running or you're reloading or you're sprinting, speaking of reload, we're going to make it cancel out this later, but for now, the only other thing you could do is sprint or walk or even idle. Any of those is just simply hip fire. So gun.state is equal to gun.states.shoot. And after all that, we're going to add something up here to get rid of the dual fire thing. Because this runs so fast, it can end up running this twice. So it sets fire rate to false twice and sets the fire time to 0 twice, letting you shoot 2 bullets. To counter it, all we have to do is make sure it checks if fire rate is equal to true. And that's that. So now if we go to the aim state, if I'm not mistaken, aiming, and we remove make bullets, it should work. Okay. Well, we're not shooting anything, but we haven't crashed, so let's make some print statements. So we're going to print here shooting. If keybind, we also need to do if it's equal to false. Then if gun.state is equal to gun.states dot aiming, then gun.state is equal to gun.states dot aiming. Now we need to change this from aiming to aim shoot. And this to gun.state is equal to gun.states dot idle. Actually, my bad, we don't need this. Else if keybind.mouse.mb2 1 is equal to false, then print not shooting. F5. Not shooting, not shooting, shooting, shooting. As you can see, we only get to shoot one shot before it goes back to not shooting. And the reason it did not start the state aim shoot is because it switches out faster than it can switch in. So what we need to do is test our auto right now before we go any further. And we also need to put and fire rate lock. Where is it? Fire rate is equal to false. So it doesn't set those. We're also going to put and reload rate equal to false right now instead of later. And what that does is it basically locks it out from resetting it. So like whenever we're waiting to reload, we don't want to go into idle right away instantly, and same with shooting. We need time for our animations to play and for it to actually process. So that's what that does. Now if we hit play, oh, not yet. Let's print aim shoot so we can see the difference if it's working. Now we'll print regular shoot. We also didn't do any bullets, so let's create bullets. Make bullets. And make bullets. F5. As you can see, it's continuing on infinitely because we forgot one simple thing. Or at least I did. You might have caught it. What we need to do is make when input ends, that is equal to false. Now it should work. Okay, so for shooting from the hip, it fired everything. That's still going on. Okay. Let's go to fire rate. Let's remove these so we can actually read. Press F5. That's a regular shoot, aim shoot, regular shoot, aim shoot. The problem is it won't stop on its own unless we're aiming. So we need to make a solution to that. So we need to go down here. up here and do that thing I said again not to do. So else if keybind.mouse.mb1 is equal to false and fire rate is equal to false and reload rate is equal to false and gun.state doesn't equal aiming, which means it should be equaling hip fire or sprinting, but we're going to add sprint below this so it overrides everything else. Then gun.state is equal to gun.states.idle. And if we did this correct, it should stop when we're idle or aiming. Okay, now it does work when we're idle, although we broke our aiming because we typed in a typo. So let's go here. Line 183. Gun.states.aiming. Now it should work completely. As you can see, the console reads it perfectly. And that's how to make the auto. We're going to set that to false. We don't want an auto. And now that we have our gun states and we have the bullets coming out from them, we're going to test the difference between accuracy. So right now, I don't have it aimed in. Bullets everywhere. The auto is still on for some reason. Let's see. If gun.module.auto equals false, then print turning off mouse. See how that works? Regular shoot, turn off mouse, regular shoot. Okay. So what we need to do is get this go down. Let me see what I need to do real quick and then I'll time skip ahead to the solution. Alright guys, I'm back a couple minutes later with the solution. So I changed line 183 where it had fire rate, if it needed to equal false. I removed that line completely. That's what was messing it up and not letting it stop. But then I also had to add keybind.mouse.mb2 is equal to false instead of the aiming, so because if it's equal to false, then that means we're not holding it. We shouldn't be aiming. So it's a lot easier that way. A reload rate stayed. And then inside the actual thing itself, whenever we would stop shooting, it would always send us to idle right away, which was a problem if you were aiming while shooting. So to get around that, what we did was if the gun.state was an aim shoot before, then switch to aiming. But if it was in regular shoot, then switch back to idle. And that managed to fix it, so now we only shoot one bullet at a time, and if we're aiming, we'll go back to aiming. If we're hip, we'll go back to hip, so watch. Bam, one bullet. Or a lot of bullets, actually. Aim shoot still does a lot, but regular shoot is only one, and it stays aim shoot. Go back to aiming. But yeah, for the aim shoot problem, we're gonna have to come up with something different. Ah, I know what it is. Okay, so for aiming, this is true, so it won't go to this. So we're gonna have to go back to here and put if gun.state is equal to gun.states that aim shoot or mouse no keybinds dot mouse dot mb2 is equal to true, then do that. And now it should work. Accurate, slightly off. Slightly off. Accurate, slightly off. Accurate. Now, the reason I got error earlier, if you saw that, when I shot off to here, well, I guess it's not shooting anymore, was because it shot off blanks and it was expecting a table on the server. So now we're going to have to script it to work if we don't actually hit anything, if it's out of range. As you can see, it works now. It shoots one too many, so we're going to have to adjust that in the server as well. So on here, we need to make this have the goal be 0. Or no, not 0, -1. And have the goal. So have the goal be 1 for now. See what that does for us. As for the framework, we can start getting rid of all these print statements so we can see better in the console. Okay, and now back to the server. We don't want the object name anymore. And we don't need that either. Okay. What we do need to do is make it print for each part it prints, which is a bullet. And also what we need to do is get this, Control X. So if ray table does not equal lengths, is what we named it, I believe. Yeah. Then do this. And the reason I'm not doing it for objects is because in order for it to not be a blank, it has to hit an object. So now if we go back, it won't error at all. But we'll still lose ammo. As it should be. Okay, watch. Over there, there is no bullet, but we still shot. If we go over here, we have 2 bullets, and now we can see them being counted as 2. So we gotta fix that. Right now our pellets is 1, let's change it to 0. See if that works. Now it's only 1 bullet. Okay, and see how inaccurate the bullet is, but if we zoom in, it's right where we want it. And that's how to do it on the server anyway. Now for the part that I'm pretty sure lots of people want to know about, NPC damage. So what we're going to need to do is we're going to need to get a random NPC, it doesn't matter which, to test it on. So we're just going to click the very first guy we see, clear him out of all the scripts and anything. We only need the humanoid and the body. Okay. Displayed. Okay. That's all good. Now we need to go back to our script. Get rid of the framework for now. We'll add the animations off camera and show you what that looks like. So print object.name. Now the NPC's name is NPC, so if we hit him, we should get NPC from the server. Or not NPC, because we wouldn't hit his NPC, would hit a body part. So we hit a bullet, torso. We hit his right leg. Hit his right leg again. Now we got a headshot. His right arm, his left arm, his torso. So now it's registering the body parts. We can delete this. I'm also gonna delete the frame that I had for the center. And now we're gonna have to check if he's human. So to do this, we're gonna do local humanoid. Humanoid is equal to object.parent.find first child humanoid. And if you're doing a zombies game and you had his humanoid named something different, you'd put like zombie there, and the rest would just be the same. It would look for zombies and only damage zombies. And you could also do this with teams by making the gun say like what team you're on, or I guess when you're checking for humanoids, you could also send the player here, have a player variable in here, and search the player's team. Anyway, if humanoid is equal to nil, then you're going to want to check the parent of the object, his parents' parents, because you always have hats, which are like children within children. Oh wait, let me find first child. Humanoid. And now we do, if humanoid does not equal nil, meaning we do have a humanoid after all, then we want the humanoid to take damage. And the amount of damage we're going to want him to take, we're going to have to also put the gun that we need him to take. Okay, so objects table. We're going to add weapon here. Name. We're going to check v human. Weapon. Okay. So now we're going to get the module. So weapon again. Local module is equal to modules weapon name. So now we have the module again in this, and we named it damage, as we should. Take damage module dot damage. So if we go back to the humanoid and we shoot him, he should lose exactly 10 health every time we hit him. Now if we were to do it with pellets, each pellet would be 10 damage. As you can see, he's now losing damage. If we test it with pellets real quick, you can see we want 2 extra pellets, so he loses 30 damage each hit. And the pellets thing really is only for people who want to use like a shotgun or something, but I mean, if you don't want any of the pellets, you can just put it at 0. So as you can see, bam, he lost 30 health, a lot more than 10. And the pellets also spread out into different directions, like a regular gun. Anyway, now that I've shown you guys this far, in the next video, we're probably going to do like a bullet or a GUI HUD for the gun name and how many bullets you have. And also, we're going to be adding the animations to shoot and hip fire to the gun. And also gun flash in the next video. If you like what you're seeing, leave a like. I'll keep doing more. And if you have any like extra questions or custom requests, like how do you make a bomb at the end or explosion, something like that, or how do you make it to where it damages more than one person, basically penetration, just ask.